Since Phoenix in '98. Joining him in the front row today is Greg Ray. Row 2, the defending series champ Buddy Lazier and the fastest rookie Felipe Giafoni. The winner of the first race this year, Sam Hornish Jr. is in the third row along with Eliseo Salazar. This native of Chile, when not racing, can often be found on his boat cruising the waters along the South Florida coast. Fourth row, Sarah Fisher and Scott Sharp. Mark Dismore will line up 9th, Stan Waddles is 10th. In the 6th row, Stephen Gregoire and Billy Boat. Back in row number 7, it's Davey Hamilton and Jared Schrader. Former series co-champion Buzz Calkins and the '98 Indy 500 winner Eddie Cheever Jr. are in row number 8. John Herb will start his second IRL race in the 17th spot along with John Hollinsworth. Two-time Indy 500 winner Al Unser Jr. inside row 10 and last year's Rookie of the Year Ayrton Dare. Row 11, Shige Hattori and Robbie McGee. The 23rd starter is Robbie Buell and 24th is Casey Mears. Two rookies in the last row, Brandon Irwin and Didier Andre. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. Welcome to Miami Homestead Speedway, and we should have a great contest for you today. This is a brand new racetrack for these drivers. It's a very fast track, but it has no banking. And because it is so fast and the track is very abrasive, there could be some concern about tire wear. Former Indy 500 rookie Larry Rice, you know well about tire wear.
Tire management is going to be a huge factor here today. After as few as 15 or 20 laps, the speeds are going to fall off by about 5 miles an hour. Advantage to experience. Lazier, Cheever, Al Jr., they've been through the wars. They can manage their tires very well. Panther Racing, they've been through them too, but they've got a young line that they're going to have to keep in control if they want to win.
And with us, as usual, on our IRL telecast is Jason Priestley. There's also concern about weather here this afternoon.
Yeah, that's right, Bob. As we saw in qualifying yesterday, the rapidly changing weather conditions in South Florida can drastically affect the track conditions. And this is a very treacherous track. It leaves the drivers no room for error. Something else the drivers and the crews will be concerned with this today is engine reliability. The drivers are pretty much at full throttle all the way around this track, and that's very hard on the motor. One driver to keep your eye on today, folks, is the young rookie Felipe Giafoni. He's been real fast all weekend. He qualified 4th. I think he's got a real shot at winning.
They will go 200 laps. That is 300 miles. Look at the banking in the turns. It's only 6 degrees. The weather here this afternoon, we have 79 degrees, and the wind is from the southeast at 11. Our 2 pit reporters today. First, Jackaroo.
Bob, all the factors that both Larry and Jason talked about collide down in turns 3 and 4. Every driver I spoke to said that if the tires start to go away, if all of a sudden the wind gusts, that's the area where it will wreak the most havoc. Vince Welch, that's why we've given that area the moniker Calamity Corner.
Well, one driver who's not afraid to go hard into turn 3 is Jeff Ward. In fact, Ward says the race car is great going through 3 and 4. He believes he can have a distinct advantage in the race today by having a strong race car in 3 and 4. And he says, in fact, if he has to, he can pass going into turn 3.
Set to go with the second race of the 2001 Indy Racing League Series as we head for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the 500 in about a month and a half. We'll also race at Atlanta between now and then, but this should be quite a contest here today at Homestead-Miami Speedway. The pace car pulls off. Jeff Ward leads him down for the start of this race, and the green flag is out. Here we go. Ward has stepped out to a nice lead here as they come out of turn number 2 and down the back stretch. That's Greg Ray second. There's the rookie Felipe Giafoni running third, and we're on board with Sam Hornish Jr., the winner at Phoenix, as he tries to get to the inside of Giafoni going into turn number 3 for that position.
You know, Jeff Ward was about 1.5 miles an hour faster than anyone else yesterday, and it looks like he hasn't lost any of that speed, Larry.
Oh, and a car slides into the inside retaining wall here on the main straightaway, bringing out our first caution of the afternoon. And it looks like it's going to be Stan Waddles who has hit the inside wall and damaged the right rear of the car.
Yes, you can see that right rear is all bent up back there, so he is not going to get back in this race. He climbs out very dejected, but at least he's okay. Looks like a big jam up back there. A lot of cars involved, and lucky that he's the only one involved.
Stan drove at Phoenix and also had an encounter with an inside wall in turns 1 and 2, finished in 16th position. Here's a replay of what happened, and there's Stan losing it in turn 4.
Appeared he was all alone right in the middle of the pack. He spun. All those cars behind him did a great job getting on the brakes, not running into each other, and making it through, because you can see he's still right in the middle of the racetrack.
And a nice job of driving by all the other competitors behind him to avoid hitting him.
You know, this is a common problem in racing, guys. When you go out on the first lap of a race like this, your tires are cold, your car is cold, you don't have any time to get any heat in the tires, and these kind of things happen.
So the caution is out for the first time here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Jeff Ward is the leader of this race with 2 laps completed.
The Indy Racing League's Infiniti Grand Prix of Miami on ABC Sports. Brought to you by Infiniti, makers of innovative high-performance luxury vehicles. Pennzoil, protection under the toughest driving conditions. Delphi Automotive Systems, driving tomorrow's technology. And Firestone, America's tire since 1900, dedicated to making it right.
Back at Homestead-Miami Speedway, in addition to the incident off of turn number 4, John Herb has pulled his car to the inside of the racetrack in turn 1 with a fire in the engine compartment. And so that will need a cleanup before we can go back to competition. Jeff Ward is the leader of this race. He took the lead from the pole position and has held it through the first 2 laps of green flag racing. He is a former Rookie of the Year at the Indianapolis 500, hails from San Juan Capistrano, California. Let's go down to Vince Welch.
Bob Jenkins, Jeff Ward added an extra gear before the race today, and his team manager, Mitch Davis, who also engineers the car, said they believe that's going to give them an extra 100 RPMs and an extra couple of miles per hour in the course of this race. The one thing they want to make sure they don't do is get on the rev limiter all day, so they've got that extra gear, 6th gear. They want to run in it all afternoon if possible, but if they have to come down to 5, they still believe they've got a very fast race car in that situation. Now let's go up the pit lane to Jack Arute.
Well, Vince, Buddy Lazier's Hemmelgarn crew has decided to add 3 gears. The difference between 6th, 5th, and 4th, Larry Rice, is just about 100 RPM. Now, that's really cutting it close.
Well, they did that, Jack, because of the wind. If the wind picks up, then they're going to have to change gears. So they took a chance and put those 3 gears in.
Well, the countdown to the Indy 500 shifts into high gear in the race for the pole position. Indianapolis 500 time trials coming Saturday, May the 12th, here on ABC Sports. Before we go green, we check in again with Vince Welch.
Scott Sharp, keep an eye on him. He's been very sick, was running a high temperature last night. They had to give him 2 bags of fluids through IV this morning. I talked to him just before he got into the car. I said, how do you feel? He said, not good. This is a very treacherous race from a physical standpoint. It's going to be a difficult race on a young man who is not as strong as he normally would be because of illness. So keep an eye on Sharp, and if maybe he fatigues during the course of this race.
He is lined up in 5th position as we anticipate a restart of this 200-lap contest here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. The pace begins to pick up as Jeff Ward steps on the accelerator, and the green flag waves. Once again, we're back to competition. This is the 10th IRL race that Ward has been in front. We see Sam Hornish now trying to get to the inside of Felipe Giafone, and he does. Hornish in that bright yellow Pennzoil Panther race car takes 3rd.
Now, it looks to me like Sam Hornish is trying to pick up right where he left off in Phoenix.
He's very aggressive here early. Now comes Buddy Lazier around Giafone, so he, too, after losing a few spots on the start, wants to get back up near the front.
And now Hornish,
oh, look at that.
Whoa, drafted on Greg Ray right to the end of the straightaway, then took a hard turn to the left and pulled alongside him. A great wheel-to-wheel battle through turns 2 and 3 down the backstretch as Hornish tries to get second from Ray, and he's going to do it at the end of the backstretch.
Greg Ray did not give up easy, though. He ran around that outside for 1 whole corner just to see how good he could do that in case later in the race he really had to do it and hang on.
Fellas, do you remember in Phoenix when the Pennzoil team said they were going to keep the bridle on Sam Hornish? Well, I talked to Kevin Blanche before the start of this race, and he said once Sam won that race, there's no bridle anymore. It's up to him, the pace and the speed that he sets in each event.
As you watch the rundown in the upper left of your screen. Those little yellow arrows on the left indicate whether a driver has moved up or down from the last lap. We're on board with Buddy Lazier, who finds himself in 4th position now, about 2 1/4 seconds behind the leader of the race, Jeff Ward. We might also tell you that Robbie Buell has pulled his race car off the track. He is on the pit road, but he is getting assistance from the crew members as they push his car down to his assigned spot. So one of the Infiniti engines, the 35As that have come into prominence here in 2001, he is out of the race, not necessarily, though, because of the engine problem.
Yeah, and he reported that everything just died. It just quit on him. He has no idea what happened.
There is Eliseo Salazar trailing behind Buddy Lazier, 4th and 5th position. The fastest car on the racetrack, the last lap, was Sam Hornish as he turned a lap at 194.2, whereas Jeff Ward, the leader of the race, his speed was 191.9. Down to Jack Arute, who's with John Hurd.
John, it's always most difficult when you're an aspiring driver and you get a seat now and again. What happened?
Well, we've been having some engine questions all weekend. I've been hearing things, and I've been cautious, letting those of the team saying that I'm obviously a newer addition to the sport. I want to be sure that what I'm hearing is correct, and I guess we should look into it a little more. There was something wrong with the engine.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
There's Eliseo Salazar, and here is Jeff Ward, but you can see that the lead is shrinking as Sam Hornish Jr. closes in on Jeff Ward. Jeff Ward running for a new team in Indy Racing League this year. This is Heritage Motorsports, and it brings together a couple of famous names from auto racing days gone by, Meekum and Rathman. And there you can see on the move as Hornish has gained 3 positions since the start of the race. Casey Mears has moved up 6 positions since the start, and there, on the other hand, are the guys who have lost some positions. Of course, Stan Waddles has already crashed out of the event, and John Herb is also out of competition.
Look at this. Here he goes. He's going to try for the lead going down the back straightaway. He got a great run through 1 and 2, and Ward just lets him go. He said, too early for this stuff.
Wow, Sam Hornish is really driving that car hard. It's amazing what getting a victory on your lap will do for your confidence, isn't it, Larry?
Well, it is. The thing they have to be aware of, though, if he goes out there and burns the tires off, and all of a sudden, after 15 or 20 laps, he drops off 5 miles an hour, then what happens? He's stuck for the next 20 laps running way slower than everybody else. But so far, he's not falling off.
Just like you mentioned, it could be the experienced driver that prevails here this afternoon. Sam Hornish has led in 3 of the last 4 IRL races now. There are the top 6 at the moment with 14 of 200 laps completed. Back in a moment. Welcome back to Homestead-Miami Speedway. There on a track map, you see the interval between 1st and 2nd and 3rd in a real tight battle for 2nd position between Ward and Ray. The leader is Sam Hornish, and his advantage is about 2 seconds over the 2nd place car as he comes down and completes lap number 21. Jack?
Well, Bob, one of the things the Pennzoil team did with this 21-year-old youngster during their test sessions here at Homestead is they sent him out for long runs. As Larry talked about at the top of the show, they knew that tires would drop off, therefore speed would diminish. They got Sam Hornish acquainted with what that feel was like. They hope that that experience will pay off today as the cars begin to slow.
Here's Greg Ray and Buddy Lazier running in 3rd and 4th position. And remember a few laps ago I told you they were running at 193 and 94 miles an hour? Already, Larry, as you indicated, the speeds have dropped off significantly.
Well, 22 laps into the race, now Hornish is running 188, but he's still running 2 miles an hour faster than everybody else. That's
Buddy Lazier's radio as he tries to close in on Greg Ray up ahead.
He's basically just saying when he gets close, the air goes out the way.
Needs a little more front end.
Yeah, what happens is when he gets up close behind the cars he's trying to pass, the air no longer travels cleanly over the front wing of his car, and he's losing that grip at the front end of his car. Makes it very difficult to handle the car then.
Exactly right. So what he's going to do is put more wing in there so that he can run better in traffic after the next stop.
Okay, here's Hornish crossing the line. Here's in 1st. Here comes Ward is second. There is Ray and Lazier as they battle for third. And Buddy's going to try him to the inside in turn one. And Lazier is going to come out with that position.
Wow. That was a pretty brave move. Ray gave him lots of room, though, and let him go on by. I think Greg Ray has come a long way. He does that now where a few years ago he would have been racing really hard for that position this early in the race.
I think the concern was that perhaps because these turns are so flat, there was no banking, they would have to run single file through the corners, and that has not been the case. We've seen a couple of passes right in the middle of the corner, and here's Lazier trying to pass a slower car to the inside. That's Shige Hattori.
Yeah, he almost got under it, but Hattori got off the corner very well, and he just couldn't make it. Oh, he had to get on the brakes right there. The car in front of him pulled down on him a little bit.
That's Casey Mears.
Both of them had to get on the brakes.
The other thing is, guys, we're only a few laps into this race so far. As the laps go on and the marbles build up off the racing line, that wider line is going to go away because it's going to get real slick out there.
On board with Greg Ray, running fourth right now, about 7 seconds behind the leader of the race.
The real key is to stay on the lead lap. If you started a little bit in the back of the field, you've got to make sure you stay on the first or the lead lap until the first pit stop.
Heavy traffic for Buddy Lazier. In front of him and beside him, that is Casey Mears. Now up ahead of him is going to be Robbie McGee in the black car.
These guys are all being very careful in this traffic. They don't want to make any big mistakes. They want to make sure the spotters are telling the guys in front of them that they're there.
And we are yellow once again. And here is Robbie Buell, whose car has stopped over in turn number 2. So obviously some major problems for the Team Purex car.
Well, they didn't have a good day yesterday. They had all kinds of problems yesterday, and it looks like that problems have just continued.
Well, with 28 laps completed, you can bet, as you can see on your screen, that the pit crews are going to become very, very busy here. Now, the pits are closed right now until the pace car can pick up the leader and pack up the field. But when that pit lane is open, you're going to see a mad scramble because all these guys, again, only 29 laps completed, but they need tires. Jack?
Sam Hornish was complaining just a little bit, Bob, about having a slight understeer. What, as you know, that means you turn the car and the nose wants to go out to the front. But the crew has decided not to take that understeer out of the car. They feel that it may go away simply by putting some new tires and adding 35 gallons of fuel. They are set, ready to go, and this is when it becomes an orchestrated ballet. Do you realize that you can add 35 gallons of fuel, change 4 tires, faster than you could pour a 20-ounce Pepsi into a cup?
Well, you can see there on the right of your screen where Hornish and Ward will pit. Sam is all the way down toward pit end or pit exit toward turn number 1. And now they begin to approach the area.
Short fill, guys. It's only just over half a tank used.
Now they're not going to pit this time.
Now one more lap.
Pits are still closed, so they will pit next lap.
You know what this is shaping up to, Bob? This is sort of shaping up to the crafty old veteran and the young guy with all the passion and exuberance. It's kind of like you and me in the booth, really, isn't it?
Coming up next is the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Here's your chance to see some of the car drivers who've entered this year's Indianapolis 500, including Michael Andretti, Gilles DeFerrin, Helio Castroneves. Next here on ABC, and Jack Arute will give you all the insights online at ESPN.com, keyword ABC Sports.
Bob, do you remember at Phoenix when Sam Hornish pitted? He had a car directly in front of him by the name of Buddy Lazier. Well, there's an open pit in front of Sam Hornish this time. So the wing clipping that went on at Phoenix for young Sam Hornish, I don't think we're going to see it here. But the drag race to the line that allows you to come back up past the 60-mile-an-hour speed limit, that ought to be fun to watch.
You can see the cars that are pitting have dropped down to the warm-up lane as they slow down again to 60 miles an hour to make this pit stop. Split screen will show you Jeff Ward's pit stop and Sam Hornish. Ward, of course, will be the first to stop in his pit, and so the crew will go to work much faster. It's going to be a long way down to the end for Sam Hornish.
And this is what pit crews live for. These guys absolutely live for this kind of thing. If they can get their driver out quicker than the other car and get him any kind of advantage, they're going to be some happy pit workers.
You see that right there? They put some wing in the front of that car. He told them he wanted to put a front wing, and they did that.
Wow, almost 3 seconds faster pit stop for Sam Hornish Jr. as he gets out well ahead of Jeff Ward and everybody else for that matter. We'll be back with more from Miami Homestead in a moment. Sam Hornish Jr. from Defiance, Ohio is in the lead here once again. We are under caution. There was a great pit stop by his team, only 9.2 seconds according to our clock. Of course, that isn't all that much of an advantage because we are under caution, so Jeff Ward will be able to close right up in on him. But it does give an indication of how strong that Pennzoil Panther team is going to be during pit stops under green during this year.
Hey, Bob, I noticed that Sam was born in 1979. You'd already been married for about 10 years by then, hadn't you?
11, as a matter of fact. Jeff Ward will be going to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway looking for a win. We ask him about his favorite memory regarding the Indy 500.
My favorite Indy 500 memory would have to be winning the 1997 Indy 500 Rookie of the Year. I led 49 laps towards the end there, and at first I was a little disappointed because we didn't win the race. That's what we went there for. But then about a minute after getting out with the crowd cheering, it was I realized what a feat I just accomplished, and it was really something that made me really want to go back there and win that race.
Remember, on May 27th, our coverage begins at 11 a.m. as we cover once again the greatest spectacle in racing, the 85th running of the Indy 500. Let's go down to Jackaroo for an update from pit road.
Well, Bob, A.J. Foyt's car, Eliseo Salazar, and Buddy Lazier's car for the Tybo team. They both made major adjustments to try and take the car and make it handle a little bit better in traffic. There was a close call, though, on pit road. It gets to be tight quarters. The tire man for A.J. Foyt had to do a little bit of a ballet to stay out of the way of Lazier.
Getting set to go back to racing on 35 laps. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Larry Rice and Jason Priestley up here. We're covering the Infiniti Grand Prix of Miami, second race of the 2001 Indy Racing League campaign. Now, a couple of drivers got an advantage because of that caution. Calkins and Hattori were at the tail end of the lead lap. They're able to go all the way around the racetrack, and Allenzer Jr. was close to being lapped when that yellow came out. But he's okay now as Jeff Ward tries to take the top spot back away from Sam Hornish. They run wheel to wheel through the corners. Who will come out with the advantage? Will it be Ward or Hornish? They're still side by side as they go all the way down the back stretch, and now Ward gets the slight advantage.
Wow, that's amazing that they can go wheel to wheel like that through these corners. There's not a lot of banking here. I think as the race goes on, though, there's going to be too many marbles out there. Wouldn't you say, Larry?
Well, I don't know, but Hornish was very high on the racetrack. He was almost three-car width out there, and he seemed to be sticking very well, which is a very good sign for him.
On board with Buddy Lazier, who runs third. Closing in, however, on Sam Hornish as they go down the backstretch. Lazier will probably try to make a move here late in the straightaway, but gets the job done. Nice move by Buddy.
Obviously, this set of tires for Sam Hornish does not feel nearly as good as the last set. Sometimes you change stagger, or sometimes the tire will grow. This set obviously has done something that he doesn't like because he's gotten passed by 2 cars in 2 laps.
And once again, we see speeds back up above 190 miles an hour. Fastest car on the racetrack that last lap was Buddy Lazier at 191.3. Jeff Ward was second quick at 190.959. But we will continue to see those laps drop off as they wear down the tires.
Yeah, Larry, I asked about the situation with Sam Hornish, if he had a bad set of tires or what have you. His crew tells me he just got startled on that restart. Jeff Ward smoked him, and it's taken a couple of laps for him to get his composure back.
Well, that can happen. If you lose a little bit of a rhythm around any kind of a racetrack, you've got to get yourself back together. And the other thing that might be happening, if he slows up a little bit, maybe he can run faster near the end of the segment, and they may be telling him, that's okay, we want to be fast near the end, not near the first.
The other thing that could have happened is that Jeff Ward was a motocross racer for years and years and years, and there's no one better at a hole shot than Jeff Ward.
On board with Buddy Lazier, whose little boy Flynn celebrated his 2nd birthday yesterday, and Buddy wanted desperately to give his son a pole position birthday present. Didn't quite work out that way, as Buddy had to settle for the 3rd starting position. But right now, he is running in the 2nd spot. Up ahead is the leader of the race, Jeff Ward, and the interval is 0.6 of a second.
Buddy Lazier is very interesting to watch. He's always doing something in that cockpit. He doesn't just leave his hands on the wheel. He's always working something inside there. Felicino Foni also on that last pit stop. He missed the signal to come in on the lap. He went in a lap later. He dropped from 6th to 14th as a result.
And we'll check the speeds at the line as the field comes off the corner and records their speed. And once again, we see that Lazier is quicker than Jeff Ward. The 3rd fastest car on the racetrack would be Scott Sharp at 190.1.
Obviously, he's not feeling that bad.
Here is Greg Ray, who is running in 5th position, and right behind him is Scott Sharp. The Delphi Automotive Kelly Racing Machine.
He certainly doesn't look like a guy who's sick in that race car. He's been very aggressive since the start of the race and pulled right up on the back of Ray just a few minutes ago.
They tell me you can be pretty sick, but when you get into the race car, you tend to concentrate on what's going on and not think so much about how sick you are.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. Once you get in the race car and you get into the race, a whole lot of other things that may be wrong with you seem to go away.
Concentration and focus are so important. You're concentrating so hard on what you're doing out there because your life is literally in your hands, so you have to do that, and so it just puts everything out of your mind.
Our telemetry showed you that he was about half throttle through the corner and then nailed it and moved up to 98% throttle down the straightaways. We're talking about Scott Sharp. 43 laps have been completed. Jeff Ward is the leader of the race by 0.6 of a second over Buddy Lazier. We'll return after more of the Infiniti Grand Prix of Miami after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Watching the Indy Racing League on ABC Sports.
The Infiniti Grand Prix of Miami, 50 laps old, and Jeff Ward is the leader. Buddy Lazier second. Sam Hornish is third. We're on board with him, and while we were away, we'll bring you up to speed on what happened. Scott Sharp and Greg Ray had a terrific duel going on for the 5th position, and at the end of the front straightaway, Scott Sharp moved to the inside and again drove wheel to wheel with Greg all the way through the corner, and Scott emerged with the position.
And I'm telling you, that was close. That was a lot closer than that last side-by-side we saw. And Greg Ray finally thought, that's not worth this.
You know, Bob, I talked to Scott and Mark both yesterday at the end of the practice sessions, and they both told me they were real happy with their race setup and running the cars with a lot of fuel in them. They felt like they had a real chance today, and obviously the way that they're both moving up through the field, that just may be the case.
The Kelly teammates are running 4th and 5th. Dismore is 4th, and Sharp is in the 5th position.
Bob, this is a reunification of Mitch Davis, a crew chief, and Jeff Ward with this Heritage Motorsports team that is leading in only their 2nd race together with the Rathman-Meekum combination as ownership. I asked Mitch Davis in the morning what the strategy was going to be, and he said, we learned a lot watching Sam Hornish lead 140 laps at Phoenix. We sat down and decided we're going to lead as many laps as we can and try and get away from the rest of the field. I asked him, when was the last time you did that? He said, the last time I was together with Jeff Ward.
Right now, Ward has led 31 of the 53 laps that we have had so far. Greg Ray to your left, Eliseo Salazar passing a slower car. To your right, Salazar's running in 7th position, about 7 seconds behind the leader.
Yeah, he got caught behind Buzz Calkins, and that cost him a lot of track position.
Alonso Jr. is not having too bad a race either. He started back in the 19th position and is currently up to the 8th spot. So Alonso Jr. is beginning to make things happen for the Gallus team.
And in talking to the Gallus team, you know, they're running 3 cars this year, and they told me that they just didn't have enough engineering capabilities. They weren't sure how much they needed to run 3 cars, but they seem like they've got it sorted out now. They brought in another engineer this weekend, and things seem to be going much better for them.
More from Vince Welch.
Well, the key for little Al so far in this race, not just what he's doing on the track, but what his team did for him in the pit lane. He came in during that first stop in 16th place, and when he left the pit lane, he was in 9th. This is a racetrack where the pit crew could win the race for you in the pit box, and Al Unser just took a major stride in that first stop.
We mentioned yesterday that Gordon Kopic has been hired as an engineer on that team. That's true, but he won't take over his position until the Atlanta race in 3 weeks. Oh, good battle here as Sam Hornish and Buddy Lazier are running second and third, and Hornish to the inside and will try to get that position from Buddy, and will do so.
Yeah, Buddy just kind of moved over and let him go. Once he got to the inside, Buddy didn't want to run outside him and take any chances. Way too early in the race for that.
Larry, one of the reasons why is Buddy Lazier is reporting that his car has gone loose on him. So he's got a handful, especially when you consider the fact that for more than half of the lap, every time around here, you're in the middle of a corner trying to hold on to a bucking Bronco.
Well, that's right. 8 seconds in every corner. So that's 16 seconds a lap out of a 27 or 28 second lap that you're in a corner. So you're really fighting that thing if it's not handling.
We talked about this during qualifying yesterday. Buddy, it seems like, does something with his left hand every opportunity he gets. He'll take it off the steering wheel.
Well, the last time he pulled his seatbelt and then he reached down and adjusted the sway bar a little bit. That straightaway, he used the radio and talked to those guys. So he's always doing something. He's very interesting to watch.
He's very busy in the car. If he's actually got a loose car, he's going to be playing with those sway bars a lot, trying to dial out that looseness.
Look at Sam Hornish Jr. He has closed in.
Oh, he picked up a push. He got so close to the back end, it took the air off the front of that car, and that car went right up towards the wall. Not real far that he couldn't catch it, but it did move up the racetrack.
Just lost a little bit of momentum, so he'll have to catch back up to Jeff Ward. Ward has led 37 laps so far. Sam Hornish has led 21. The other leader that we have had so far, Felipe Giafoni, as he led 1 lap when he did not pit during that caution period. He pitted, but not until the second opportunity to do so. And Hornish now is going to try to the outside, maybe.
He runs higher through the corners than anybody here. Now that he's going to get picked off by this slower car, I don't think he can do... Oh! Yeah, he had to get on the brakes.
Oh, look at this.
Man, you don't want to have a Firestone moment like that. Those tires touch, you're going to be in big trouble.
That was Robbie McGee that they scrambled around and did so successfully. McGee running back in 17th position, 2 laps down.
You can see the cheerleaders. That was his pit crew in there clapping their hands. That's okay. You did a good job.
Close to Ward again. You do have 6th gear.
You can see how the speed again has dropped off. His last lap was 180 miles an hour. Yes, it was in traffic, but still it's dropped off considerably because it's been a while since he was in for a pit stop. 31 laps, as a matter of fact.
Look how fast he is to the center of the corner, though. Look at this. How fast he closed him coming off the corner. That time he pushed the front end and had to get out of the throttle right at the very end, or he would have had a chance.
Now he takes the spot.
I think Jeff Ward's crew chief said, hey, this guy's going to do something here. Let's let him go and worry about it later.
Yep.
Larry, here's also what happened. Kevin Blanchard told them to save their tires. Sam Hornish has done so. He says, now we're going to eat them up and spit them out.
Hornish leads over Ward, Lazier, Dismore, and Sharp at Homestead-Miami Speedway.
This Wide World of Sports update brought to you by Speed Pass. Today's way to pay. It's free from mobile. Here now, Bob Jenkins.
Under caution here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, Ayrton Dare's car stopped on the racetrack. That means another round of pit stops, and here they come down. Sam Hornish Jr., the leader, again pitted all the way down toward the turn 1 area, pit out. You can see there on the bottom of your screen the speed limit is 60 miles an hour. Hornish arrives in his pit.
Bob, one of the great things that Sam Hornish is doing thus far is he is getting down pit road right on the edge of that 65 mile an hour. It doesn't take him long.
Well, both times the crew has done an excellent job of getting him in and out of the pits very quickly. Well, while they line up for the restart of this race, it gives us an opportunity in this Mobile One update to tell you what's gone on regarding the Indy Racing League since our last race at Phoenix a few weeks ago. Last Tuesday, the IRL welcomed a new engine partner. Beginning in 2003, Toyota will be an engine supplier, joining GM and Infiniti.
Arguably, it might be the biggest announcement we've had since the inception of the Indy Racing League. So we're obviously very pleased with Toyota's announcement to come on board, but also equally happy that GM and Nissan and Infiniti are going to continue their participation as well.
The Indianapolis 500, the greatest spectacle in motorsports, racing, you know, why wouldn't we want to be a part of it?
And after a 5-year absence, Michael Andretti will be back at Indy this year.
Start to really understand what the IRL is all about and sort of like the direction that they were going. You know, I think a lot of things they're doing right. I think we have a real good shot at doing well here, and maybe my best shot ever.
Boy, the month of May is going to be fantastic this year. There's the reason for the most recent caution. Ayrton Dare's car on the hook. There's Kevin Blanche from the Pennzoil Panther Racing Team, who has got their driver in and out of the pits quickly. However, Alonso Jr. is being shown as the leader, Vince.
That's not going to be the case, though, because Alonso Jr. is being given a stop-and-go penalty. Rick Gallis, why was the stop-and-go penalty?
Well, they opened the pits, and then they closed the pits, and we'd already committed to our pit stop. So we did just what they told us, and that's all I can say.
That's a big, big problem for this team because they'd made up so much ground the first pit stop through. They'd made up 7 spots in their first stop, and that could be a costly one when you come to the end of the race here this afternoon, Jack Arute.
Well, Vince, we want to watch this restart. Remember the last restart, Sam Hornish was a little slow. That was by design, although it rattled him just a bit. Now, he has Pancho Carter, a former Indy racer himself, spotting for the Pennzoil team up on the roof. They have discussed at length for about the last 2 laps as we see the stop-and-go being completed on Alonso Jr. But what Hornish is going to do now is he's going to show people how he can restart races. He actually radioed back up to Pancho and said, watch this one.
Now remember, the new rule in the Indy Racing League competition this year is that the pace car picks up the leader of the race for restarts. Now you can see right now that there are 4 cars between Sam Hornish, the leader of the race, and the pace car. Those 4 cars are going to be allowed to go clear around the racetrack, and when we get to the green flag, Sam will be directly behind the pace car. Alonso Jr., who just observed his stop-and-go penalty, of course, is a 2-time Indianapolis 500 winner and hopes very much that he can find a 3rd victory this year at Indy.
Well, his crew is very upset. They felt like they did exactly what they were told to do. They said the pits were open, they went in, and they were already stopped, I guess, when they decided to have the drive-through, which means everybody just went straight through the pits and back in line again. So they feel like they might have done a little injustice right there by having that stop-and-go penalty.
Well, Saturday, ABC's coverage of the Stanley Cup Conference quarterfinals begins with Mario Lemieux and the Pittsburgh Penguins against the Washington Capitals, Philadelphia and Buffalo, or Los Angeles at Detroit. Check your local listings for the game in your area. Live Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern, 3 Pacific, here on ABC. Now you can see the 4 cars that were between Hornish and the pace car have gone around the racetrack as we get ready for the restart of this race.
Bob, one of the drivers that we thought would be making a move from the back of the pack toward the front today was Eddie Cheever, but so far that has not happened. Cheever's had some problems with his race car. He says he's got good balance by himself, but it's loose when he gets behind somebody. Says he's got a very nervous race car, and Larry, you can certainly attest that when the car is nervous, the driver usually is too.
He's a lot more nervous than the race car usually, let me tell you, because you don't want to have a car that feels bad here. Before the end of the race, though, he and crew chief they're going to get things together, and believe me, they'll be better near the end of the race.
All right, here is Ward now taking a shot at the leader. Didn't quite have the momentum build up to take the lead from Sam Hornish. Here's our pit in and out statistics. As the first 3 stayed the same, Greg Ray was in 8th and out 4th, and Sarah Fisher picked up some position. She came in 9th position and is now shown in 5th.
You know, Sarah was real happy with the way that she qualified yesterday, and I'm sure she's been pretty happy with the way she's been running so far today.
There is Sarah in the blue and white Kroger-sponsored Walker racing machine.
Very nice. You got Al behind you. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Now, Al Unser Jr. is back up to 6th position after that stop-and-go penalty.
Sarah appears to be very comfortable in the race car, and that's the key to a racetrack like this, where you spend so much time in the corners. You've got to have a race car that feels good, and she seems to be running through there off the white line just barely, but still very nicely through the corners.
The speed last lap was 185.849 miles an hour.
It's a remarkably smooth track, this track. I mean, without it being so abrasive and hard on the tires, it really is a smooth track, isn't it, Larry?
Oh, yeah, it's very, very smooth. Probably one of the smoothest these guys run on anywhere in the circuit.
You know, they have been comparing this track only to Indianapolis as far as what you can expect during a race. Why is that?
Because it takes so much precision. You have to be very precise. With little banking like this, you can't use the banking to make up for an ill-handling race car. So you've got to be very precise when you enter the corner, through the middle, and off the corner. There's not any room for error. When you've got banking, when you've got 24, 25 degrees of banking, it'll kind of hold you if you make a little mistake. Here, you cannot make a mistake.
Al Unser Jr. has competed here in the kart series 4 times. Most recently in 1999, he crashed on the first lap and broke his ankle. We're on board now with Scott Sharp, who is right behind Al Unser Jr. in the 7th position. And they're about 7.3 seconds behind the leader, Sam Hornish.
I think he's done a very good job as well.
We had the privilege of being in the drivers' meeting earlier today when all the drivers are gathered together, and Brian Barnhart, the director of racing for the Indy Racing League, had a discussion with them and explained to them a little bit why this is a tough racetrack.
Anthem and the green flag, 3rd time by. This racetrack's going to require the same concentration, focus, respect, and attention that Indianapolis does. It's going to be a very similar event. It's 200 miles shorter, but 200 laps around here is not going to be a heck of a lot different than what you're going to do in about a month and a half.
Well, concentration is a key factor in any racetrack, but at this racetrack, because you spend so much time in the corners, at Indy you enter, you get a middle, and you exit. Then you enter, get a middle, and an exit. Here you enter, and you go forever through the middle, and then you exit. So you really have to concentrate and make sure that baby's going to stick when you get it in the corner.
Yeah, I actually had the opportunity to drive one of the Kelly cars here at this track, and the amount of time that you spend in the corners is really remarkable. I mean, you feel like you're never going to get out of the corner. It just keeps going and going and going. And you see the way when they apex, when they come down here close to the white line, they stay there for a long time. It's not a normal corner where you apex on a very short for a very short distance. See, he's going to come down here to the line. He's going to stay here for a long time.
Well, you can see this shot from Eddie Cheever. He runs as close to the wall off of the corner as any race car driver anywhere on any racetrack. He loves to use the racetrack every inch of it.
Eddie Cheever Jr. running in the 8th position, about 11 seconds behind the leader, Sam Hornish, who has a 2-second advantage over Jeff Ward.
In Southern California, where CART is preparing for the 27th running of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. 1986 champion Michael Andretti announced last week he will return to the Indy 500 in May. Today, he starts 9th here. Penske drivers Castroneves and DeFerrin, both of whom plan to run in this year's 500, will start 1st and 5th. ABC Sports brings you live coverage of this great street race later today.
With 86 laps completed, Sam Hornish, car number 4, has the lead. Second place, number 35, Jeff Ward. Third place, number 91, Buddy Lazier. Now, Ward is about 4 seconds behind Hornish, and Lazier is about 5 seconds behind Hornish.
Sam's obviously real happy with this car. He seems to be able to drive it anywhere on the track, and he seems to get away from the pack at will almost.
Wow, look at this traffic jam here.
Well, look at these guys. Side by side, there's lap cars, there's fast cars, and the closing rate is so great here. You get a lap car in front of you, and you can really have to be paying attention.
That is Eliseo Salazar. Get out to Jackaroo, who has Ayrton Dare and Robbie Buell.
Well, Ayrton Dare, the 1-800 bar none car, was really important for you to perform well today because so many people were here watching it, both family, friends, and sponsors. You got up to 9th.
Yeah, that was a shame for us. You know, everybody came down here to Miami, all the people from 1-800 bar none, and the car was running real good. It's getting better and better while the other guys are getting slower and slower. So I was really looking forward for the end of the race. But every time we got a good car like this, I don't know, something happened and put us out of the race. I don't know.
Robbie Buell, the Purex team, still having some teething problems with the 35A Infiniti engine?
Well, we had problems on Saturday. We really don't know what happened. I mean, it's something electronic related. Maybe a sensor went, but, you know, it happened on the restart. What was that, the third lap of the race? So, pretty frustrating weekend for the Purex guys.
Well, Bob, for Robbie Buell, it's still a successful weekend. On Thursday, he visited a bunch of kids at the Miami Children's Hospital, and that makes over 11,000 children Robbie and Racing for Kids have touched with racing.
And he does that at just about every race that he goes to, making sure that he gets there in time for a visit with the kids. Al Unser Jr. is in 5th position, coming up on the 4th place car of Greg Ray. Now, remember, Al Unser Jr. was penalized. He was given a stop and go. He was allowed to blend into traffic as he got back onto the speedway, and since that time, he has moved up nicely and is in 5th.
That was a huge break because he didn't have all the lap cars in front of him. If he had to go to the end of the line, he would have had a lot of lap cars. But this way, he's been on a great run since he got back out on the racetrack.
You know, it's amazing to see Al running this quickly. He really never got on the pace through Friday and Saturday through practice and qualifying. Right now, he's running incredibly well. Like our old friend Larry the Swami knew, experience pays off.
Well, on full tanks, he was pretty quick. Eddie Cheever told us, when I talked to him a little earlier, that he had followed him on full tanks, and he thought he was pretty quick, so he kind of gave me the heads up.
And, fellas, I've got to tell you one thing. Rick Gallis is gunning for all of you after Phoenix when you called that the super team. He said to me, he says, how can I have 2 rookies and Larry and Jason and Bob can call me a super team? I just love the IRL.
Well, his driver, Didier Andre, had a real struggle at Phoenix, but he's doing very well here this afternoon. He started out in 26th position, and Andre, although he is 2 laps down, is in the 15th spot.
While we were saying all that, Al Unser Jr. just passed Greg Ray for 4th position. It's a nice pass. He's doing really well.
That's Buzz Calkins that they're putting another lap on. He's 3rd, 3 laps down. And a lot of traffic out there on the racetrack as Buddy Lazier has several cars in front of him. Lazier running 3rd.
Well, that's Jeff Ward right there. That's the car that he's trying to chase down. But all this traffic, he's been very cautious, and he let him get a little bit ahead of him right there.
There is Ward about 4 seconds behind the leader, Sam Hornish. Here comes Buddy Lazier to the inside of Brandon Irwin, who is running in 21st position, 4 laps down.
You can hear right there, Lazier's out of the throttle a little bit. These guys are running down in the high 180s, just like we expected.
And once again, that left hand goes to work.
Well, he's down there. He's really worked that weight jacker and the sway bar. Almost every corner, every straightaway, he's down there again. That's the weight jacker. See him twisting. When he twists his hand back and forth, that's the weight jacker. He's probably taking a little weight out if it's pushing.
Now he's on the radio. We're nearing the halfway point of this event. 97 laps have been completed. I I think they're having radio problems because the crew chief said that they couldn't hear him either.
I was going to say exactly the same thing, and that could be a problem.
Wow. He's loose getting into the corner there, that's for sure.
Yeah, he said he's loose, except when he gets up behind the car.
You see what we just did there was time how long Buddy was actually in the corner, and it was 8.4 seconds. Boy, I'll tell you guys, I've driven this track. It feels like an eternity when you're in there.
And that's, of course, you, of course, multiply that by 2 for every lap.
Here we go again. Let's see how long he goes through 3 and 4. Here's 3. Here's the exit of 4.
Yep.
Long time.
Cheever said it was about 8 seconds, and that's what we're seeing with Eddie Cheever.
You know, it's a really long time at these speeds going through that corner, too. The lateral G's on your body, they sort of pull you in against the outside of the car. And what most of the drivers do is just try and relax and rest their shoulder up against the inside of the car and just try and relax against the car. Because if you try and fight the G-forces that are pulling you to the right side of the car, you end up getting exhausted the guys would be exhausted by now.
Right, when these guys are running 195 miles an hour, they're pulling about 3 Gs through these corners. The space shuttle pulls 4 Gs when it takes off, to put it in perspective.
Sam Hornish Jr. is now halfway through the event. 5-second lead over Jeff Ward and Buddy Lazier. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
You're watching the Indy Racing League on ABC Sports.
Keeping you up to speed on what has happened since we were away. Watch Sam Hornish as he goes to the outside and puts a lap on Mark Dismore and then comes down the straightaway and is able to pass Eddie Cheever Jr. So both of those drivers in 8th and 9th position are now a lap down. 7 cars are on the lead lap as Hornish has an almost 9-second advantage. There is the interval that you can see on our track map. Almost a half a lap Hornish has over Ward and Buddy Lazier. Now, this is the information that we see up here in the booth. On the far left, that indicates that number 1 up by Sam Hornish's name indicates that he was the fastest that last lap. Ward was 2nd quick, Lazier 3rd quick. The red column is, of course, the running order. The blue column is the number of the car. Then you have the driver. The number of laps that the leader, Sam Hornish, has completed, in this case 108. Now you see that Jeff Ward is 9.37 seconds behind. The green column is the speed his last lap. The black column his fastest lap of the day. Over in the green column, the number of pit stops and the laps since his most recent pit stop. Now, down to Jackaroo.
Well, Bob, we heard Buddy Lazier describe to his crew, led by Ronnie Dawes, what the problem was with the car. Now, how will the Hemmelgarn crew solve the problem during the pit stop? They are going to change the air pressure on their Firestone Firehawk. And Vince Welch, 1 pound of pressure is like changing your spring rate by 70 pounds.
Well, Jack, another team that's struggling with the race car a little bit is Jeff Ward. He's currently running 2nd. He's got a push, and now we've got a yellow out, so that's going to be a good opportunity for Ward to come in and maybe get that push taken care of. They had about another 15 laps on their run before they were scheduled to come in for the stop.
It is debris on the racetrack that has brought out the caution. Shigea Tori was very slow down the front stretch a few laps ago. We thought maybe it was because of that, but it is debris on the racetrack.
Well, this was a huge break for Sarah Fisher and Eliseo Salazar. They were getting close to being lapped, so now then they'll be able to get back up there.
Well, the Indy Racing League schedule next takes us to Atlanta, Georgia on Saturday night, April 28th. Then the month of May in Indianapolis, culminating with the 85th running of the 500 on May 27th. We'll visit Fort Worth, Texas, June 9th in that great race that we saw there last year. Pikes Peak International Raceway in Fountain, Colorado on June 17th, and Richmond for the first time on June 30th. Then we go to the brand new racetrack at Kansas City. The new one at Nashville. We'll return to Sparta, Kentucky. Then we go to St. Louis for the first IRL appearance there. Joliet, Illinois is also a brand new racetrack. We'll wrap up the season with a return visit to Texas Motor Speedway near Fort Worth. So those are the races that you have to look forward to until September 16th in the 2001 Indy Racing League schedule. Well, we're waiting for the pits to be open. They are still closed as the pace car picks up the leader of the race. There's the flags blowing, and you can see that the wind is still quite strong, but not nearly as much as it was on Friday and Saturday.
It was much stronger Friday and Saturday, but it was not as hot. The heat here today, the track temperature is probably 15 or 16 degrees hotter than it's been all weekend. So one kind of offsets the other. The racetrack is going to be slicker, but the wind won't be quite as much problem.
This Homestead-Miami Speedway opened in 1995, shortly after Hurricane Andrew devastated this region. It's owned by International Speedway Corporation. It's on 434 acres, and besides the racing facility, there are 680 palm trees here. RPM Tonight is the first daily program devoted to auto racing. If it's fast, it's covered on RPM Tonight, and it's only on ESPN2 weeknights at 7 o'clock Eastern. For more, log on to ESPN.com. There is our wind meter indicating how strong the wind is.
Bob, I didn't know you were a horticulturist.
Well, among other things, yes.
You do any bird watching?
Not unless I have to. There's Kevin Blanche once again, the crew chief on the Pennzoil Panther racing team. As you can see, Sam has entered the warm-up lane. He and most everyone else on the lead lap will be coming in for more pit service.
Well, that crew has been almost as perfect as Sam Hornish has been today. If they continue on this pace, these guys, everybody else in big trouble.
Guys, I'm just amazed at the way they got Sam's car set up today. I mean, it almost seems like he can pick any line going into any corner and not have any problem. It's really, really impressive.
We can see Jeff Ward hitting his pit box. Here is Sam Hornish.
That's Jeff Ward right there.
And the Pennzoil Panther team changing tires on the front of the car.
And Bob, they're going to make no changes. How about the pit work done by Detroit Lions quarterback and part owner, Jim Harbaugh.
Once again, a great pit stop. Sam Hornish will retain his lead. Back in a moment. Back at the Infiniti Grand Prix of Miami for the Indy Racing League, Sam Hornish, the leader, under caution. Let's go down to Jack Arute.
Well, Bob, one of the things that Sam Hornish says he likes to do when he gets a little uptight, he says, I tend to get a little nappy. What he means, he likes to go catch a cat nap. Well, when he was offered the ride in the Pennzoil Panther team, he was testing. Guess what? He got nappy. He hasn't napped in the race car since then. In fact, Kevin Blanche had to tell him during a test session with the car, once he got the ride, Vince Welch, hey, you got to talk to us once in a while, Vince.
Hey, here's a happy guy, Darren Russell from Allenser Jr.'s team. How's the car? He started 19th. He's now running third.
The car's perfect. Real happy. We've got some great pit stops. Just added a little bit of front wing that time, but we're just fine-tuning it now. He loves the car. He's real happy.
If not for that stop and go, just think where this team might be, guys. He's currently running third.
Good show so far. Let's talk about some of the things that we dealt with in the early part of the show. First of all, tire management. We haven't had a great deal of cautions, but it seems like they've been spaced right so that they can come in and change tires.
They had run 43 laps before that last stop. They had to stop about 46, so that came out very well for everybody.
And Jason, it's hot, and we talked about how Scott Sharp was not feeling well. We've noticed he has dropped back in the standings, and it's maybe simply because they're getting wore out there.
Yeah, well, it's very hot in these cars. Even though they're open cockpit cars, the cars get very hot. They generate a lot of heat. And I know myself, on race weekends, I used to lose 5, 6, 7 pounds during the weekend. So if you're already dehydrated, when you get in the car, it doesn't take long before you get really dehydrated.
All right, getting set for the restart once again now. The green will come out on lap 118. Sam Hornish gets a good jump on the rest of the field as he takes the green flag. Jeff Ward is in second spot. Then it's Al Unser Jr. running third. There is Ward and a whole bunch of traffic back there, running right behind Felipe Giafoni, the rookie, who is shown in 11th spot now, a lap down. One car way up high on the racetrack. That is Scott Sharp.
Yeah, I think he just got up there. He got in the corner a little bit too hot on the cold tires. Got up in the marbles and was lucky to save it, probably.
Here is Ward trying to move to the inside of Giafoni. Remember, they are not on the same lap, so that is not a battle for position. Jeff Ward is simply trying to move up through traffic and get as close a contact with the leader as possible.
Bob Jeff had really been fighting a push earlier before that pit stop, so they came in and adjusted the stagger and the tire pressure, and they gave him a little wing as well. Crew Chief Mitch Davis said, we don't want to take away too much of the push, but he just had a little bit too much. Still, they're very confident they've got a winning car.
Here's Al Unser Jr. also moving through the traffic, and with all due respect to Rick Gallis, anytime you have Al Unser Jr. on a team, you've got a super team, in my opinion.
Well, he's moved up to third position, and he's closing in on Ward.
Running in third position, about 4.3 seconds behind. Oh, there is Salazar moving alongside Greg Ray in a battle for the 5th position. They are wheel-to-wheel all the way around the corner.
Greg Ray, oh, you can hear. That sounds like he's on the rev limiter. Oh, man, oh, man. They almost touched wheels right there, and that would have been disastrous for both of them. Ray, at the last minute, jerked that car, and it didn't go anywhere. Stuck under him. Great job.
And guys, Eliseo Salazar is driving like a man possessed. Why? Because during that last caution, A.J. Foyt gave him a verbal tongue lashing. He decided to tell the Chilean, look, you got to be better on restarts, and you'd better drop the hammer. I want to see more production.
Well, that was a pretty risky bit of production on that last one, I think.
Well, he is being productive. Salazar's passed Fisher and Ray in the last 2 laps. He is definitely on the move.
Salazar about 7 seconds behind. We're on board with Greg Ray in the 6th position as he sees Eliseo up ahead, and Eliseo is now passed by Buddy Lazier and taken over the 4th spot. Back up front, meanwhile, all is going well for Sam Hornish. He has led 80 of the 122 laps so far. Jeff Ward has led 40. Giafone won, and Al Unser Jr. has been credited with leading a lap. And already Hornish has extended his advantage over Ward since the restart to 6 3/4 seconds.
He's thinking up a perfectly good race by running away.
There's first, and here comes the 2nd position right there.
Look at Junior.
Al Unser Jr. He's going to take 2nd from Jeff Ward.
Well, anybody that thought he was napping earlier in the race is going to be badly mistaken. This guy came to race here today.
Al Unser Jr. giving Team Dallas renewed spirit. At Phoenix, he started 23rd, and he finished 23rd, but it's a whole new race here today. Now on board with Buddy Lazier.
Buddy Lazier's got my vote for the hardest working man in motorsports. Look at how busy he is down here with his left hand, now his right hand. He is busy in that cockpit all the time.
Yeah, he really works at it. I mean, almost every time down the straightaway, right there, he was going to tighten his belt.
Buddy was the fastest in the final practice last evening at over 196 miles an hour. He hasn't led so far today, but he has been in the hunt.
Pushing worse than he was, he's telling them. So he's probably going to make the adjustment with his left hand down the next straightaway.
You'll notice, folks, when he gets into the middle of the corner, his hands will be crossed up a lot, and he'll roll out of the throttle. That's the push that he's talking about.
You can see he did move the sway bar down the last straightaway, trying to get some of that push out of there.
Right there. When he has to roll out of the throttle like that, he's waiting for the car to slow down a little bit so that he gets more adhesion in the front of the car. Seems to be worse through 1 and 2, wouldn't you say, Larry?
Looks like it is. Probably because the wind blows down there. It's going down the front straightaway, so it tend to push the front end out, going through turns 1 and 2, where he's at right now.
Also, because of the way the wind's blowing, he's probably coming into 1 and 2 hotter than he is for 3 and 4, wouldn't you say?
Oh, probably, without a doubt. Without a doubt, he's going to have more straightaway speed down the straightaway with a tailwind.
There is Al Unser Jr. and Jeff Ward running in 2nd and 3rd position. The car ahead of them is Billy Boat, the number 98 Curb Records car. It is being shown in 13th position. Billy 2 laps down.
Now, Ward took a look down the inside of Little Al that time just to let him know he was still there. This is shaping up to be quite a battle.
Yeah, the car's running 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They're all running about the same speed. But Hornish is running 3 miles an hour faster than any of them.
That's unbelievable. Dismore, who's a lap down in 8th position. He's also over 190 miles an hour, but everybody else is in the 180s. There's Sam. Can he do it again? Can he make it 2 in a row and 3 in a row for the Pennzoil Panther team? We'll decide that in about 70 laps. We'll be right back.
The Indy Racing League's Infiniti Grand Prix of Miami on ABC Sports. Brought to you by Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile dealers. Frost-brewed Coors Light, tap the Rockies. And John Deere, nothing runs like a deer.
The advantage that Sam Hornish Jr. has over Al Unser Jr. is, when it comes up on the board here, across 12.24 seconds and a 15.04 second advantage over Jeff Ward. So Sam Hornish is trying to become the first driver to win back-to-back races in the IRL since Greg Ray did it at Dover and Pikes Peak in August of 1999.
So really what we have here is another instance of the young guy teaching the crafty old veterans a couple of new tricks.
And the young girl is looking very, very good also, because Sarah Fisher just took over the 6th position from the former champion of the Indy Racing League, Greg Ray.
She's having a terrific race. I think she has got a lot more confidence in the race car here as the weekend's gone along. She was pretty quick all along, but I think today, as this race is going along, she's got quicker and quicker.
I think maybe Greg's got a problem. He's come in the pits for an unscheduled stop, guys.
Here he is. And they are in no particular hurry to change the tires. He does get some fuel and stalls the car.
That's a terrible break. That's going to put him out of contention, because once you kill the engine in this series, you are toast.
And they're going to refire, and Greg Ray moves down pit road. Jack has an update on Scott Sharp. Jack?
Well, Bob, did you see the way Greg Ray's crew chief was out on the right side tire there during that stop? Well, when Scott Sharp came into the pit, Glenn Scott, his crew chief, was hit by Scott Sharp when Mark Dismore pitted as well. And they have removed Glenn Scott to the infield hospital. They're going to give him x-rays. They suspect a fracture of the leg. And Robert Perez, the left front tire changer, is now the temporary crew chief.
All right, thanks for the update. You saw Scott Sharp passing Billy Boat there, and the Billy Boat story comes from Vince Welch.
Well, actually, we're going to talk about Greg Ray here, because Greg came in unexpectedly. Daryl Soppy, what happened?
Well, we have some sort of fuel pressure problem with the motor, so we just topped it off, and we'll just see what happens.
Feel as though that's going to be a terminal problem eventually here?
Chances are.
Not good news for Daryl Soppy and the Greg Ray team. And remember, Jeff Ward is running the same engine as Greg Ray.
Yep. We said that he was hitting the rev limiter. It may have been that fuel wasn't getting in. That's why the engine was missing and not the rev limiter.
Yep. Well, there are 60 laps to go in the Infiniti Grand Prix of Miami, with Sam Hornish, the leader, Al Unser Jr. running second, and Jeff Ward, who we are watching right now, running in 3rd position. We have had 4 different leaders during this afternoon's race. Sam Hornish is just about to lead his 100th lap. The green race average, 187 plus miles an hour. It's been a very safe race so far. Let's hope that continues. And at the moment, there are 6 cars on the lead lap. Hornish, Al Unser Jr., Ward, Lazier, Salazar, and Sarah Fisher.
It's just remarkable the ease at which Sam Hornish is running that race car. And he can run it 2-car widths out, 3-car widths out. We saw him a few minutes ago. Man, he was zigzagging in and out of cars down the back straightaway like they were tied to the racetrack.
Larry, do you remember back in 1996 when the Indy Racing League held their first race at Walt Disney World Speedway? Buzz Calkins was the winner. Sam Hornish was just 16 years of age. He wasn't old enough to be down there at Walt Disney World. Instead, he watched the race on ABC. Sam Hornish said on that day, that's when he decided that he would become an IRL driver, because he said, I want to go to Indy. He had come from shifting carts and go-karts, and now he leads the Indy Racing League inaugural race here in Miami.
And he'll go into the 500 as a favorite, really. Well, coming up next is the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Here's your chance to see some of the car drivers who will be at Indy this year, including Michael Andretti, Jill DeFerrin and Helio Castroneves. That's next here on ABC. 144 laps completed. It's Sam Hornish leading Al Unser Jr., Jeff Ward, Buddy Lazier, and Eliseo Salazar will return with more of the race after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
You're watching the Indy Racing League on ABC Sports.
At the top of your screen, going down the backstretch, is Sam Hornish, the leader in car number 4. In car number 3 is Al Unser Jr. He's 9 seconds behind, and Jeff Ward is third, 16.5 seconds behind. And we're on board with Eddie Cheever Jr., and he doesn't appear to be up to full song.
No, he's got some sort of a problem. And you heard him shift gears right there. So whatever's going on, he's having all kinds of problems. Once you start shifting gears, although this engine doesn't have as wide a power band as the Oldsmobile, so he may do that quite a little more often than some of the other guys.
You know, guys, the way the little Al's moved up through the field today, that's nothing new for him. In Las Vegas last year, he started 21st and ended up winning that race. So he's proved he can do it before.
Started 19th today, and he's running second, and he is cutting into the advantage that Hornish has over him.
Bob, we can also start setting up these final pit stops in the sequences that may take place and the strategy that may unfold. Little Al is looking to come in at about 168 laps. You can look now and see that's about 16 laps from now. All the teams will be able to go to the finish from that point on, but who can get their team in and out the quickest? That's going to be a key, and of course, the Panther Racing team with such a large advantage gives them some extra time to play with in the pit.
And Vince, what they're planning on doing for Sam Hornish is try to stretch it to lap 169. They could throw the dummy on 168, though. So when you look at the fastest laps that have been run, it reads like a book. Hornish, 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 Hornish. Oh, yeah, there's a Salazar and there's a Lazier in there, too.
Now, 6 of the fastest 10 laps have been turned by Sam Hornish, and the fastest came on lap number 9 of the race, 194.3.
And, Bob, I have a question for you. If Sam Hornish is doing so well and this team is performing so well, you've alluded to the Indianapolis 500. We better not forget that they are going to be providing some of their expertise to Michael Andretti in his return to the Indy 500. That is going to be one whale of a battle.
That is exactly right, and I think that's one reason why Michael Andretti, we heard him say in his little soundbite there earlier in our telecast, that they have a real good shot of winning this race. The Pennzoil Panther team has been just unbelievable. Remember, they won the last race of 2000 with Scott Goodyear behind the wheel. Goodyear semi-retired. He will be in Indianapolis driving for Eddie Cheever, but they've now won 2 in a row and going for 3 as Greg Ray moves back out onto the racetrack.
And they actually almost won the Indianapolis 500 a couple of years ago, except Scott passed the pace car by accident on the last lap.
So we'll take another break here and await the pit stops that could definitely decide the outcome of this race. On the track, it's been all Sam Hornish so far.
Well, this Wide World of Sports update brought to you by Speed Pass. Today's way to pay. It's free from mobile. Here now, Bob Jenkins.
Less than 40 laps to go here this afternoon in this Infiniti Grand Prix of Miami. It's been a terrific race so far, but it has been dominated by the sophomore driver, Sam Hornish, who won at Phoenix the first time out this year. Early on in the race, Stan Wattles lost control coming off of corner number 4, slid into the inside wall, eliminating himself. Hornish took the lead from pole sitter Jeff Ward early in the event. Then on lap number 36, terrific battle between Buddy Lazier and, again, Sam Hornish Jr. Later on in the event, we move to lap number 63, and again, it's Sam Hornish Jr. battling his way back to the front, again passing here Jeff Ward. On the 124th lap of the race, Al Unser Jr., who started 19th, took over second position from Jeff Ward. And speaking of Al Unser Jr., he has come in for a pit stop and hits the mark perfectly, Vince.
Well, it's a costly stop, though. They were hoping to hang on for another 5 laps, but Al radioed in that he thought he was out of fuel, so they had to go ahead and come in. And as you see, they're putting in just enough fuel to get him to the finish. Now they've got to start it in the back of the car, and that just cost them extra time in the pits. An incredibly costly pit stop for Al Unser Jr., opening the door for Sam Hornish Jr. even wider.
Oh, just an unbelievable bad break for Al Unser Jr. You can imagine what's going through his mind after a terrific move to the front.
He was actually gaining on Sam Hornish. He'd cut the lead down to about 9 seconds. Now then, the thing is, it's vapor lock probably, and it just wouldn't start. You can see them. They're devastated.
43-second pit stop. Wow.
Well, that's a couple of laps, and that's just going to kill him.
And we have a caution. Greg Ray apparently has come in contact with the wall.
Man, things went from bad to worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, this changes a lot of things. All the leaders now will be able to pit under yellow, and that was a costly stop for Al Jr. That just got a lot more costly.
Well, Jeff Ward had to go into pits, and he lost a couple of laps, so now then this erases his chances because everybody else is going to be able to stop on the yellow.
But for Sam Hornish, Eliseo Salazar, Buddy Lazier, and Sarah Fisher, it's a terrific break because they have not made their pit stops. We'll be right back. The pits are open, and here come those on the lead lap and some of those who are not for what should be the final pit stop of the afternoon. Sam Hornish rolling all the way down to the end. Eliseo Salazar, who is running in second position, has yet to reach his assigned pit spot. You can see the Pennzoil Panther team working quickly on Sam Hornish, and once again a terrific job. Just a little. Oh, they stalled it.
Well, this could be. Oh, they got it started and killed it again.
You'll notice that Kevin Blanche is standing in front of the car until it's
Now he's going to have to do his job on the racetrack.
And fellas, that is really surprising only from this respect. The one thing the team talked about before they pitted while the pits were closed, to make sure that this stop was done very deliberately and that they didn't have a mistake. Maybe they shouldn't have talked about that issue.
Well, this is going to be interesting now to see if he can move up through the traffic. Our caution, by the way, was caused when Greg Ray hit the outside wall over in turn number 2. He is okay. The leader of the race is going to be, I believe, Eliseo Salazar, who would have been out ahead of Hornish. And second position is going to go to Sarah Fisher, with Lazier third, then Hornish in fourth position.
The Indy Racing League's Infiniti Grand Prix of Miami on ABC Sports. Brought to you by Infiniti, makers of innovative high-performance luxury vehicles. Goodyear, serious technology, freedom from worry. Yamaha, maker of fine motorcycles and ATVs. Nobody's more in tune with motorsports than Yamaha. And Frostbrewed Coors Light, tap the Rockies.
Back at the Infiniti Grand Prix of Miami, Eliseo Salazar, Sarah Fisher running first and second, and there they are as they line up for the restart. Quite a story here. Sam Hornish Jr. trouble in the pits, and he has dropped back now to the fourth position. Felipe Giafoni has made up a lap because of that caution and is now in fifth position, the final car on the lead lap. There you see that Salazar moved up a position, Fisher up 2, Lazier stayed the same, Hornish lost 3, and Giafoni stays in fifth, but again, he is back on the lead lap. So what we have here is the hometown favorite, Eliseo Salazar, because he makes his American home here in Miami. But we have Sarah Fisher running right behind him, and I'm telling you, this crowd is equally divided maybe among the two, and maybe we see a few more people hoping that this young girl, Sarah Fisher, will be the winner of this thing, or maybe they're thinking that Hornish can do what he's done all along this afternoon and drive through the traffic and take the lead. We'll know that in about 28 laps.
I hate to bring this up again, guys, but Eliseo Salazar is the oldest driver in the series, and Sarah Fisher is the youngest driver in the series.
Why are you always talking about age?
I'm obsessed at this point in time, Bob.
Eliseo Salazar has led 7 races in his IRL career, and 6 of them have been on 1.5-mile ovals.
Well, Sarah Fisher's lost a little bit of ground to him. Meanwhile, Sam Hornish, he started 8th in the field. Although he's 4th on, in the running, he's now moved past all those lap cars, and he's 4th on the racetrack.
And moving in quickly. There the speeds. Fastest car is Salazar, then Fisher, then Lazier.
You know, there's really not much separating Salazar and Fisher at this point in time. This is shaping up to be a good finish, guys.
Eliseo looking for his second win of the series. His only
Great job. You're pulling away from money.
At Las Vegas in October of '97. And when we see these two running together, we can remember Las Vegas last year. They both crashed while battling for position. I'm talking about Sarah Fisher and Eliseo Salazar. Meanwhile, we go back to 3rd and 4th, and Hornish is closing in on Buddy Lazier. And in fact, he may be in a position to take the spot at the end of the backstretch.
Outside.
Wow, he is the fastest car on the racetrack by almost 2 miles an hour. Oh! Buddy Lazier spins. Oh, contact with the wall.
So the caution will come out on lap 177 now, as Buddy Lazier's Tybo car has made contact with the 4th turn wall.
He's moving his head around in the cockpit, though. That's generally a good sign.
Down there in the middle, and they couldn't get it back around.
And he's talking to the crew.
And Bob, he radioed in and said that he was okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But it brings to an end a great afternoon for Buddy. This is our 6th caution of the afternoon. There is A.J. Foyt, Eliseo Salazar's car owner, talking to him on the radio. Now, here is Hornish making the pass, and then behind, Lazier just loses it.
You can see that thing just gave a little bit of a wiggle. He almost saved it, but then the back end just came around very slowly and backed right up into the concrete.
From another angle,
he went into the corner high, tried to run that high line, but right here, see that little wiggle right there? That's the one that got him. He saved it the first time, but when the second time came around, he just couldn't get the car back under control.
And Larry, you could hear the disgust in his voice as he apologized to the crew. He said, "I thought I had it saved, and then it got away from me."
Well, he didn't want to give that position up. He wanted to race hard, not give that position up, but in retrospect, I think he would have just dropped in behind him and given it up.
We'll take a look from the onboard camera when we come back with more of the Infiniti Grand Prix of Miami. Back in Miami, here's the onboard with Buddy Lazier. Oh, boy, it seemed like it took a long time for him to hit the wall, but, boy, it was pretty hard impact when he did.
Those are the longest moment a driver has because he knows he's going to make contact.
You really do think you can save it right up until the time you hit the wall, though, don't you?
Yeah, a driver, you just know it's coming, and you're just waiting for it.
Once
hope
again,
it doesn't hurt too bad.
Now watch him bobble. Right there.
Right there. That was it.
Look at that. Full right, trying to save it.
Yep.
Too late.
And
these things don't give you much warning.
He scrubbed off a lot of speed, but still, the impact was rather significant. First and second, as we indicated, the oldest and the youngest in the field. In the Phoenix field, there were 27 drivers, and we took a look at the age breakdown. 17 over 30 years of age. The oldest, Eliseo Salazar. 10 were under 29, led by Sarah Fisher, who is only 20 years of age.
Who's obsessing now, Bob?
20 laps to go. They will get the green flag next time around. Again, it's Salazar, Fisher, Hornish, and Giafoni, the top 4, all on the lead lap.
Copy.
Eliseo Salazar, last win was in Las Vegas. And he hopes that he can duplicate that here this afternoon in his American hometown of Miami.
Let's be ready. Let's be ready.
Well, we are coming up on the near end of our time period, but stay with us because just as soon as this IRL race is over, we'll be switching you to Long Beach for the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach for the Car FedEx Championship Series, an afternoon of open wheel racing here on ABC. Let's see who wins this one. Look at Hornish. He's going to get a good start as they come down and take the green flag. He's already getting by Sarah Fisher and now sets his sights on Salazar.
Well, Sarah saw him to the outside and didn't go up to the wall, gave him room. If she hadn't been alert, hadn't been paying attention, that could have been a crash.
Everybody gathered here this afternoon down below us in the grandstand is on their feet cheering for whomever their favorite is. But they're all cheering.
Well, Salazar certainly has the advantage. Anybody that leads has a huge advantage over the car in second place. Right there, you saw Harnish. He got wide.
Hey, here he goes.
Oh,
Here
got
he
a good
goes.
run.
Got a good run off the corner. Is he going to be able to? No.
You have to know whether that guy's going to close the door. He did a smart thing right there. Had to use the brake.
You know, guys, I have to say, this has been great racing here today. A lot of wheel-to-wheel action, a lot of guys passing, and really close racing, and not a lot of incidents. It's really been great racing.
Jason, the thing that may put this all in perspective is the words that Kevin Blanche said to me just moments ago. He said, now we'll find out what Sam Hornish is made of.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. He's not made out of anything that's light and fluffy. He's going after these guys.
Led the most laps this afternoon, 126 so far. Hits the rev lever there at the end of the straightaway.
You know, I think he got out of the throttle so he would fall back and then get a run on him off the corner.
Okay.
I think that was why you heard that. He was actually out of the throttle trying to get a run. Now that he's on the outside.
Here he goes. Is he going to be able to pass Salazar? He's on the outside of the racetrack. Oh, wheel to wheel through the corner all the way.
Still inside, still inside, still inside.
At the line, it is Hornish by a half a car. And he is going to...
Inside, clear.
There he's got it.
Wow, that was phenomenal.
Good job, Sam. Way to time it, way to go. Your race, not your race. 15 to go.
You're right, Larry. I think he timed it and got that run, and man, did he have a run build up.
He got out of the throttle before he got to the end of the straightaway and got a huge run on him, and he had to stay on the outside for a whole corner, which is almost unheard of at this racetrack, but he made it work. Indy Racing League drivers, look at it. You got a new guy on the block.
That is for sure.
Big celebration down in the Pennzoil Panther pit box as well, guys. They know it's not over, but they know they've got something special behind the wheel, and he's just done an amazing job to get by a very stingy Aliseo Salazar.
Open wheel racing may need a new young hero, and I think we have found one in Sam Hornish Jr., given his 2 race performances this year in the IRL. Just unbelievable.
I think it's safe to say that he definitely has arrived.
They're second and third, Salazar on the left and Sarah Fisher on the right. And we can't say enough good things about Sarah Fisher also, as she has hung in there all afternoon, running in third position. She started this race back in the 7th position.
And her crew has kept her in the hunt. They've made good pit stops. They've encouraged her. They've given her good feedback on everything that she's done, and she's followed their directions very well.
And Larry, they've also had an excellent race car all day long. They have not touched that car from a chassis perspective. They've let her do all the adjustments on the weight bar, so it's been a good car for Sarah from the very beginning.
Sarah's got a good run down the backstretch. She's going to take second from Aliseo. Wow.
And A.J. Foyt is livid, fellas. He just yelled at Aliseo Salazar and said, you got passed by a girl.
And I now know who most of the people down in front of us were rooting for, because when Sarah made that pass, there was a huge response from the fans. They're loving Sarah Fisher's performance.
Well, she did exactly the same thing that Hornish did. She got out of the throttle early, got a huge run, and I think Salazar got a little push coming off, had to get out of the throttle, and she was right there at the right place at the right time.
Sarah is a part-time student at Butler University in Indianapolis studying mechanical engineering. She loves to play soccer, but she likes most of all to drive race cars, and she can do it.
Cleared, let's go get Sam. You're gaining on him.
1.13 seconds is the interval between Hornish and Fisher. Last lap, we'll see if she's being able to close in on him. She was certainly faster in terms of speed last lap than Sam.
Well, he was in a little traffic, but she was 5 miles an hour quicker. If she actually can do that again, she's running faster than him in open racetrack that time by almost a half a mile an hour.
It's amazing the way she just dispatched of Salazar, too. I mean, he's not even in her mirrors anymore.
Well, she's catching traffic at a bad spot right here, but Crawford got out of the way.
Yep.
So that was nice of him because this she's still got a shot at winning this race.
Good job by Buzz Calkins, who's back in 16th position, 6 laps down. And she again is faster.
Guys, I hate to keep bringing this up, but the 2 youngest drivers in the IRL just dispatched with the oldest driver.
Yeah, well.
And guys, Sarah Fisher's increasing speed is not lost on the Pennzoil Panther team, a group that was all smiles just a few moments ago. Those faces are a lot more serious now as they watch Fisher continually gain on their driver, Sam Hornish Jr.
And Sarah's crew's telling her, he's scared, go after him, he's scared.
There are less than 7 laps to go, so she's going to have to get the job done in a hurry if she is going to. The advantage is just a tick of the watch over 1 second. And Sarah reduces the interval every lap, but not by very much.
Well, it's going to be a big factor. The traffic is going to be a big factor. Whoever catches the traffic just wrong is really going to lose a lot of ground. And it looks like he's going to catch Giaffoni right here where he doesn't want to, right in the middle of the corner.
Watch how we go through that traffic. They'll be nice and smooth.
She can catch him on the straightaway. She will again make up some interval. And your guy Giaffoni hasn't done bad this afternoon. He's 4th.
Yeah, he's done quite well. You know, he's a rookie this year, and you know, anytime you're a rookie in a new series, there's a lot to learn.
5 to go.
You're on a pretty
clear. Keep going.
You're on a pretty steep learning curve, but I think he's going to shape up to be a good driver.
And Jason, one of the all-time greats, is helping Giaffoni. Ari Lyondike is coaching him, and Ari raves about this young kid, and I think we're going to see a lot more from Giaffoni the rest of this season.
And of course, Ari will be back at the Indianapolis 500. He's coming out of retirement to once again compete in the greatest spectacle in racing.
It looks like Sarah lost a little bit of ground that time in the traffic, about a half a second. That's just what she didn't need at this point.
And there are only 4 laps to go, now about 3.5 laps to go. Giaffoni is 4th, Ward is 5th, Allenser Jr. 6th, and Dismore, Cheever, Sharp, and Didier Andre may get a top 10 finish here this afternoon. His teammate Casey Mears is 11th, then Hattori, McGee, Boat, Schrader, Calkins, Irwin, and Hollinsworth. Those are the cars that are still on the racetrack. And the interval opens up to 1.5 seconds. So indeed, Fisher, who was closing the gap, is not doing so right now and leaving the victory to Sam Hornish Jr. Once again, the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach coming up. We will not be able to do a winner interview, but we'll be able to hear on the radio his thoughts about winning his 2nd consecutive race, if indeed he can hold on for the next lap and a half.
Well, Sarah Fisher's got to be extremely happy, even though it doesn't look like she's going to be able to give him much of a challenge here in this last lap. But she's done a great job. The crew has kept her right in the hunt all day long.
Less than a lap to go now.
She's hung up, Sam. She's hung up. You're going to be all right. You got about a 2-second lead now.
Sam Hornish Jr.
Bring it on home. You got plenty of time.
Is going to do it.
Compared to Rick Mears, but you're the Sam Hornish, baby. Unbelievable.
Sam Hornish wins again, his 2nd race victory in 2001.
Boy, that was awesome. Pit road to the start-finish line and turn left into victory lane. You'll see a guy standing there directing you.
He's the first back-to-back winner since Greg Ray at Dover and Pikes Peak in 1999. Coming up next, the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Keyword ABC Sports. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, continuing the tradition of excellence. So long from Miami. Miami, where Sam Hornish has won again.